Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com. Welcome to my Super Bowl preview. Now, if you're new to my channel and you haven't done it already, there's a button right around here. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, before I get into my Super Bowl preview, full disclosure, I have been a Chiefs season ticket holder since 1989, but I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to have this Super Bowl preview be as objective and non-biased as I possibly can, because ultimately I'm looking to get fans from all 32 teams. I want all 32 fan bases to come here and talk football. I don't care if you're a Bengals fan, a Lions fan, a 49ers fan, or a Chiefs fan. I want you to come here to talk football. And so before I break down the Super Bowl, let's talk prop bets. Now, I've worked in the casino industry for a long period of time, and almost every single person who's ever worked as a table games dealer will tell you prop bets are sucker bets. But this is the Super Bowl, and I have access to the Westgate app right here, and there are literally thousands of prop bets out there. So now, while I do think that prop bets are sucker bets, I've gone over them for the last 2 weeks, and there's a few that I like. First of all, MVP. Now, if you think San Francisco is going to win the Super Bowl, I think the better bet would be to take Jimmy G as MVP, and that's plus 350. So a $100 bet wins you 350. Quarterback is the position that's been MVP more than any other position. It's kind of a no-brainer that either Mahomes or Garoppolo is going to be MVP. So if you like San Francisco to win, instead of just betting on San Francisco, I think it's a better idea to take 3.5 times your investment and bet it on Garoppolo, because Garoppolo is going to need to have a good game in order to win. So I really like, if you think San Francisco is going to win, I would take 350 and bet on Garoppolo to win MVP instead. Now, one of the things that I was paying attention to was Mozart, who was MVP of the championship game. Of course, I really thought that his number would be lower, but it's not, and it's been increasing. Last time I looked, it was plus 6. Now it's plus 8. I think it's going to be about plus 1,000 come kickoff. And there's going to be, I really think that people are going to take this bet. I think people are thinking, hey, he was the MVP of the championship game, so 10-to-1 return on investment. I wouldn't hate you if you got plus 1,000 and you took that bet. I strongly recommend against it, but I think there are going to be people that take that. And then a long shot. This long shot's currently not even on the board, but I think it will be. Last time it was available was plus 10,000, and that's D Ford. The former Kansas City Chief. That wide 9 position's perfect for D Ford, who's not really a run defender, but he's a world-class pass rusher, as he's shown here in Kansas City. When he's healthy, this defense is completely different, and this defense is perfect for what D4 does, and that's rush the passer. He's going against a passing team. Plus, because he's been injured most of the year, now he's healthy, he could have a huge impact on this game. It was plus 10,000. I think that bet will be available. If you want to take a dark horse, a $100 bet wins you 10,000. Let's say your bankroll is $1,000. You could put a $50 bet on D Ford, walk out with $5,000. And that's just a dark horse just coming out of nowhere. Now for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes winning MVP is even money. I get it, because Patrick Mahomes is the only player on the field that could win MVP and still lose the game. Will it happen? No, it hasn't happened since Super Bowl V. It won't happen this year. But Mahomes is the only player who could win MVP and still lose the game. Is it possible? Sure. Will it happen? I don't think so. But more than likely, if the Chiefs win, Mahomes is going to be the MVP. But I hate even money. Now, keep in mind, if Mahomes does win MVP, somebody's going to say, you said it was a bad bet. I still stand by it. I don't like the math. This is an investment bet, all right? Betting even money on any player to win MVP is a bad mathematical decision. I stand by that. Now, 2 long shots for the Kansas City Chiefs to win MVP. Number 1, Travis Kelce is plus 2,000. A $100 bet will win you $2,000. I love Travis Kelce here, and I'm going to go into a little more detail because I expect him to have a big game. He really matches up really well against this defense. So I think Travis Kelce, I mean, again, 20-1 odds to win MVP. If it's not going to be Mahomes, I think it could be Kelce. And a long shot, which is currently at plus 10,000, so a $100 bet wins you $10,000, is Chris Jones. And the reason why I like Chris Jones is because this guy was kind of banged up, didn't play much in the AFC Championship game. In order for the Chiefs to win, he has to have a big game, I think. I think he will have a big game. I think Chris Jones against the San Francisco interior is a plus advantage for Kansas City. I think it's something not a lot of people are looking at. That's why you're looking at plus 10,000. Chris Jones will and should have a big game. I think he could be a long shot, but he has to do something exceptional. I mean, it's something like 2 sacks and a forced fumble. He has to have something big. Keep in mind, he's probably not going to be in Kansas City next year, so he does have to have a big game, and it's going to go all out. So I could see Chris Jones at plus 10,000 being a smart long-term investment. Again, if you have like a $1,000 bankroll, the absolute maximum on this would be $50. But if it hits, it's 5,000. Other prop bets I liked are 49er penalties, and I'm going to put this up here for you. Basically, 5.5 penalties is the over-under, and 51.5 penalty yards. Now, I did some research on the officials calling this game, and this official crew does what's called swallowing the whistle. The officials that are calling this game are going to let the players play. The official crew that are calling this game are going to call a lot fewer penalties than the standard crew. Now, that said, earlier last week, Mike Florio went on his show and he said, you know, do you want to put a hit on Mahomes? Not hurt him, but do you want to risk a 15-yard penalty by hitting the Chiefs' best player and making him kind of question himself? And better yet, if you're inside the 5 and you want to put a smack on Mahomes, and instead of being on the 4, you're on the 2, do you risk that? And he's saying, do you at least consider that? And I'm not saying take him out of the game or play dirty. And here's the thing. I 100% agree with everything Florio said. Now, pissed off Chiefs fans no end, but what Chiefs fans aren't seeing here is that this is a good thing. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Patrick Mahomes was a former basketball player. He knows how to flop. Are you going to tell me that Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs aren't going to take advantage of this? For years, Chiefs fans have bitched, including myself, about if you look at Peyton Manning the wrong way, if you look at Tom Brady the wrong way, it's 15 yards. Well, now we got that treatment with Patrick Mahomes. There's going to be a hit on Jimmy G that's not going to get a penalty, but that same hit or something very similar is going to happen to Mahomes, and he's going to get a 15. And the best part is Mike Florio pointed this out and brought national attention to be careful about Mahomes. Do you think the Chiefs are not going to take advantage of this for the Super Bowl? Of course they are. I could almost bet that there's going to be a personal foul called against San Francisco on Mahomes, and I think that Mahomes will encourage that and maybe even try to draw 1, 2, or 3, and that's smart. So Florio really did the Kansas City Chiefs a favor, and because I think that Mahomes now has the Mahomes rules, which is safe for Manning and Brady. I think Brady still gets those calls. I really like over 5.5, but I really like over 51.5 more than I like the 5.5, because keep in mind, you get one pass interference spot foul, you could almost get half or maybe even more than half on just that one call. So I really like over, but I like over on both of these. I like the yards more. Other prop bets I like, the next two I'm going to show you are the Kelce prop bets. First reception, over under 10.5 yards. And I'm going to talk about this in a little more detail when I break down the game, but I like the under for his first reception. And the reason why is that the defense San Francisco plays, they try to take away the deep ball, but there's holes in the middle right in front of the line of scrimmage. Now, traditionally, what you want to do is throw a deep ball, take a risk downfield, and then keep everybody pushed away. Well, I think the Chiefs are probably going to do just the opposite, and I think that what they're going to do is try dinking and dunking and try to draw those corners and those safeties and those linebackers up, and then take advantage of speed downfield. And because of that, I think the first reception by Travis Kelce is going to be a short reception. I think it's going to be between 5 and 7 yards. So that's why I like the under on 10.5. Now the reception 6.5. Now that's a big number, but I think Kelce's very important to this passing attack and very important to the game plan for this. So I do like over 6.5 here, but I'll be honest, out of the two, I like both these pretty equal. These are two really good bets. Two better bets are Sammy Watkins. I like both over 50.5 yards and over 20.5 yards a reception. Is he going to get over both of these? Here's the thing. He's played 4 playoff games as a Kansas City Chiefs, and he's gone over both times. He's had over a 21-yard reception in all 4 previous playoff games, and he's gone over 50.5 yards every single playoff game as a Kansas City Chiefs, including twice going over 100 yards. So I love that 50.5. 20.5 is a tough number, I will admit, but I do like the over. And the last prop bet I'm going to touch base on is the Mahomes passing stats. Now, in both playoff games, Mahomes went exactly 23 out of 35, which is under the over-unders here. And the over-under on passing yards, as you can see, is 308.5. Now, I like over on both the attempts and the completions, but I'm really not a fan of the yardage. One game, in the divisional game against Houston, he went over. Against Tennessee, he went under. So the 308.5, I'm not sure about that, but I think you're going to see a lot more shorter passes in this game. So speaking of shorter passes, are you guys ready for the breakdown? And who wins Super Bowl 54? When breaking down the Super Bowl, let's take a look at some numbers here. The Chiefs defense, 17th in yards, total yards, 26 against the run. The 49ers defense is second in yards, number 1 against the pass. That's pretty key. And 17th against the run. And that's obviously a huge advantage for the San Francisco 49ers. But one thing about the NFL is take a look at how you've done towards the end of the season. And if you look at the last 6 games of regular season, let's look at these two teams here. San Francisco's defense gave up 697 rushing yards. Kansas City's 570. That's an average of over 20 a game. Total yards, San Francisco, 1,979. Kansas City, 1,899. About the same, but Kansas City's less. San Francisco's defense forced 5 turnovers. Kansas City's defense forced 11. One big statistic is that the San Francisco defense allowed 310 points during the regular season. Kansas City allowed 308. So this great 49ers defense allowed more points than the Kansas City Chiefs. Just so you know, it's called a scoreboard. It's not called a yardage board. But in these last 6 games, yeah, I can hear the sirens too. The last 6 games, the 49ers have given up 8, 20, 46, 29, 31, and 21 points. It's 155 points. It's 25.8 1/3 points a game. Kansas City gave up 17, 9, 16, 3, 3, and 21. That's 69 total points. It's 11.5. That's less than half. Now, did San Francisco play against better teams? Absolutely. Absolutely. They played against much better competition in those 6 games. But if you're looking at overall stats for the year, let's take a look at earlier in the season where San Francisco's putting up these great stats. You beat Tampa Bay and you picked off Winston. I picked off Winston. You beat the shit out of the Bengals. Okay. You beat the Steelers without Big Ben by 4 points. Then you get a bye week. Then you host your first Monday night football game in your new stadium against Cleveland, who played a divisional opponent a week before while you had a bye at home on Monday night. Oh yeah, you also beat 1-5 Washington. Now, what about that great Week 5 performance against the Rams. That was very impressive, by the way. I did not see that coming. 7 points, 48 passing yards, 157 total. That's phenomenal. Week 16 for the bye, this same Rams team puts up 31. 395 total yards, 323 passing yards. Did you also know that the Arizona Cardinals held you to 101 yards rushing in one game and 34 in the other? Did you know Terrell Suggs played in both of those games and he's now a Kansas City Chief? Now the Chiefs, on the other hand, they played Houston week 6 in a loss and they gave up 192 rushing yards. But then they play them in the playoffs and allowed 94. The Chiefs played Tennessee in week 10 and gave up 225 yards rushing. But they play them in the AFC Championship game and give up 85. See, one team's defense consistently got worse and one team's defense consistently got better. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that the Chiefs' defense is better than the San Francisco 49ers defense? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. But are people really overlooking the Kansas City defense? Absolutely. Now, San Francisco does have a really good offense, and people are talking about the running game. But bottom line, Jimmy G can play. So let's break this down a little more. When I look at this game, I see San Francisco, which has their wide 9 defense and a zone read offense. Basically, they run a system on both sides of the ball. Kansas City has a scheme, and it varies from opponent. Now, Kansas City works to the strengths of their team, hence their passing team, because you have Patrick Mahomes. But it's varied on both sides due to the opponent. Now, basically, when I look at it, I'm seeing system versus scheme, and I don't think that's debatable. But in a close game, what's the one thing that usually determines the outcome of a close game? And let's take a look at special teams here. Robbie Gould, the 49ers kicker, 74.2% complete field goal percentage. Now, he is 5 out of 5 in the playoffs, but for the regular season, less than 75%. That's not good. Butker for the Chiefs, 93.8. He's the NFL's leading scorer. Punter, I got Colquitt, a 15-year veteran versus a rookie punter. Richie James, kick and punt returner, is a very good returner. But Miracle Hardman got voted to the Pro Bowl. Richard Hightower, very good coach, has done a very good job with the San Francisco 49ers. It's his 3rd season as a special teams coach versus Chiefs special teams coach Dave Toub, who's been a special teams coach since 2001 and also has the title of assistant head coach. Plus, Dave Toub has interviewed with multiple teams for a head coaching position. Obviously hasn't gotten one yet. So I'm not taking anything away from San Francisco, and Hightower's done a fantastic job, but the Kansas City Chiefs special teams unit has a clear advantage in this game. And bottom line, if this game comes down to a field goal, who's more likely to make it? Well, I'm taking the kicker who has a completion percentage that's almost 20 percentage points higher. Plus, I also like the return units of Kansas City much better, and I like San Francisco. Now, I'm not saying San Francisco has a bad special teams unit, but Kansas City's clearly better. Kansas City offensively, I see them attacking the wide 9 defense with a dink and dunk approach. I think that they're going to attack the center of the field, and I see them using a lot of draws, screens, RPOs. And when you have scheme versus system, flexibility favors the scheme. Look at last year's Super Bowl. You had McVay's system versus Belichick's scheme. I really see Kansas City catching San Francisco off guard with short dink and dunk approach and letting the yak yards after the catch work, and that's an old West Coast staple. The question is, will San Francisco be able to adapt and adjust on the fly? Keep in mind, that's a very young, very inexperienced front seven. Super athletic, but they do have 2 rookies on that front seven. So will they be overly aggressive? Will they stay disciplined? That's to be seen. Now, San Francisco on offense is much more balanced, and they need to be much more balanced, because that's something they haven't had to do yet. All right. And Kansas City's run defense shut both Houston and Tennessee to under 100 yards rushing. Both of those teams were top 10 in rushing offense during the regular season. Kansas City shut them both down to under 100. So my big question about San Francisco is, can Jimmy G open up the Chiefs defense enough so that they can be balanced and to keep Mahomes off the field? Because bottom line, Jimmy G has never done this in the playoffs before. Mahomes has. And that's a red flag. When you don't know about your quarterback and then all of a sudden he's got to produce and it's in the Super Bowl. Jimmy G, excellent quarterback, but that's an underrated Chiefs defense. Talent level, I think, is very equal on both sides. But let's look at the coaches. I think Shanahan is an excellent coach. 23-25 after 3 seasons. That's under 500. 3 seasons. He has 2 losing seasons. Andy Reid has been a head coach for 21 seasons. Only 3 losing seasons. Robert Saleh, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. First 2 years, not a very good defensive coordinator. Excellent defensive coordinator this year. But in 3 seasons, he's had 2 bad seasons, 1 good one. Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo actually has more head coaching experience than Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers head coach. In his 8 years as defensive coordinator, he almost triples Saleh's experience as defensive coordinator, plus Spags has 2 rings as the Giants defensive coordinator. One team plays a system. The other more experienced coaching staff gets the scheme versus that system. And when you see scheme versus the system, and again, Andy Reid is 18-3 after a bye. Shanahan's 1-2. Andy Reid plus an extra week versus a system, not a scheme, against a much less experienced opponent. Now, coaching versus a system with a bye is so much easier than coaching against a scheme, because you don't have to try to figure out what your opponent is going to do. That's a big advantage for Kansas City. Spags with an extra week versus a system. The zone read offense is a common NFL offense. Andy Reid's offense, on the other hand, is completely unique. Inexperienced coaching staff with no Super Bowl experience, trying to figure out a varied, complex scheme on both sides. On the other hand, the experienced coaching staff with a bye, figuring out a system. And again, Andy Reid's 18-3 after a bye. So this means I have to take the Kansas City Chiefs. Close games are won by matchups, coaching, and special teams. And Kansas City really wins on all 3 of these. But let's just say that you think San Francisco matches up better against Kansas City, which I don't personally see. But let's say you do see that. The inexperienced coaching staff and the special team unit superiority of the Kansas City Chiefs is not debatable at all. So my pick is the Kansas City Chiefs to win Super Bowl 54. Now, I hope you enjoyed my breakdown. I love doing it, and wherever you are, I want you to enjoy the Super Bowl. I am going to be posting on social media all my bets, so and I'm also going to post the pregame and my Super Bowl adventures. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and I will see you soon.